thank you for those that are watching on our YouTube channel. Please drop a like, hit that thumbs up button, and subscribe to our channel. We're well over 21,000 subscribers at this point. And speaking of subscribing, head to thewolverine.com. We have a special right now, $29.99. Gets you premium access over there to the message board, all of our insider content, premium content until August 31st, 2023. So it'll take you right up to the football season. So every day that goes by, that deal becomes a worse deal. Take advantage right now. But we'll start with football because spring ball is just a few days away, starting on Monday. And I think we said it on the show the other night, but what is it now? Only about 45 days until the spring game, or 44. So things are moving quickly. But still a long way to go, and a lot of things that we can learn about this Michigan team during spring. So we'll break down some of those storylines, some things that we want to learn the most. I will throw it to our good friend Anthony Broome first, and talk about maybe one thing that you want to learn the most from this Michigan team in the spring, because there's a lot we know already, but there's still some question marks and things that I think will shake out during these next 15 practices that Michigan's able to hold.
Yeah, for me, I think it's finding out how much more you can put on your quarterback's plate. I know last year was kind of retrofitting J.J. McCarthy's skill set into kind of the confines of what Michigan's offense has been the last few years, which works. And he was great. And when the shackles kind of came off because they had to late in the year, I think you saw a little bit more of a guy who can be a bit of a more of a dual threat. And that's not to say he's going to run the ball 20 times a game and pass the ball 40 times a game. I don't think they're going to unleash him like Lamar Jackson in his last couple of years at Louisville. But excuse me, guys. I just feel like for him, it's finally the opportunity to have an entire offseason with starting quarterback reps. There's not really, no disrespect to Davis Warren, to Jack Tuttle. There's not really any competition for that job. So he's going to be the guy that, gets all those first team reps. And also, he didn't throw last year. So in terms of, the chemistry with the wide receivers, there's some new faces that are going to be in for bigger roles. The mechanics, the footwork, there's still times where he likes to try and Pat Mahomes it off his back foot, but there's only one Pat Mahomes, right? So I think those mechanical things, I think the timing sorts of things, I really do think, regardless of the returning production that's coming back, the way that this sport is built right now, the way the college football kind of is right now, you're going to go as far as your quarterback takes you. And they got pretty close to winning a playoff game with him last year, but didn't because of the mistakes that he made. So how does he get better from there? Spring football is not the first step in that. They've been conditioning and things like that, but I think it's going to be pretty important in terms of how much more can you put on this guy's shoulders.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yep.
I was just going to say, Kirk Campbell, Michigan's new quarterbacks coach, was talking to John Jansen on his podcast the other day and basically said that we know what our identity is going to be as a running team, but what are we going to be as a passing team? And, so they're trying to figure that out, which I think gives some optimism to some of the people who were kind of thinking last season that Michigan relied too heavily on the run. It worked, but maybe when, let's say, a Blake Corum's taken away, then what do you have? And I thought Michigan showed that it had enough against Ohio State, but consistently throughout the year, maybe get that going a little bit earlier so that you can be even higher powered once you need to lean on that a little bit more. Chris, thoughts on that or what you're going to be hoping to learn the most?
Yeah, I want to see how Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards coexist and what they do to get Donovan Edwards on the field when Blake Corum's on the field at the same time. I know that Donovan told you guys that he was hoping for more of a 50-50 split in the carries. At the same time, there are other things you can do. Mike Hart said Donovan Edwards could be one of the best slot receivers in the country if he played there full time. I think he said that at one point. And why not get these guys on the field at the same time? To me, that makes perfect sense. And you've got two game breakers, right, at different positions and different ways you can use them. So let's see what they dial up there. Sharon Moore is going to be one of those guys. Kirk Campbell was heavily involved in the offense last year from what we've been told. So let's see them take that next step where, okay, we've got these two outstanding game-breaking running backs. How can we take advantage of their skill sets? So to me, that's big. And then on defense, developing a pass rush again. We said that last year and they did okay. And I think there's still another level. there. So I think Derek Moore is one of those candidates to have a big year. Interesting that Iabioki left. Wish him all the best. He was kind of hit and miss last year, if we're being honest. There were some games where he disappeared and some games where he made an impact. But I think Derek Moore is one of those guys that has the skill set and that twitchiness that he can be really dominant there. So should be fun. I heard from a couple guys in the building that they think this defensive line can be even better than last year, and that's losing Mozzie Smith. You know what? People blew that off when they said the same thing about Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo leaving, and guess what? They didn't really miss a beat. Pass rusher wasn't as good on the edges, but overall, I thought they did a heck of a job. So more than anything, I can't believe it's here already, fellas. It seems like football season just ended. So, but it's good, and I'm looking forward to that April 1st spring game.
Yeah, on the defensive line, I mean, Michigan, and I remember, so our John Borton was asking Mozzie Smith at Big Ten Media Day back last July, and he said, how do you guys feel like you can replace that production from those guys? And he said, man, we've been getting those questions every single year. Every single year, Michigan pumps out these NFL talents at, usually the edge rusher spot, but across the defensive line. And he said, we've answered the bell every time. And he was right. They were a very good defensive line this past year. And a guy, you didn't even mention Mike Morris, who led the team in sacks. They had more sacks last year than they did the year before, which is hard to believe, and more sacks per game too, not just, sacks total. But my goodness, I mean, they were able to kind of replace that. So we'll see, potentially some guys step up. I do wonder when it comes to the running backs, how much we will learn about, how those two guys will play together. Because I doubt Blake does much, if at all, in the spring. And then even Donovan, when we talked to him in January, said that he was going to get another surgery on his right hand, and that could have him out 4 to 6 weeks. So how much does he do? How limited will he be? When did he get the surgery? When will he have it if he hasn't yet? That sort of thing. But I agree. You got to find a way to get both those guys on the field because, I mean, they're two of the best players on the team. It's kind of the same philosophy as when you have an offensive line and you just figure out how to get the best 5 on there. If you have 2 of your top 5 players on the entire team at the running back spot, you got to figure it out. Corner is kind of something we've talked a lot about throughout the offseason, but I'll be watching that, how Amorian Walker factors into that, potentially playing both ways, but moving over there. I had a couple things written down, just the crowded linebacker room, what will come of that. And, if Kalel Mullings will go back to running back, that sort of thing. And then just hearing about how Sharon Moore is adapting to his, new, kind of role without Matt Weiss as a co-offensive coordinator. But just a few things, and I'm sure we'll get into breakout players and that sort of thing as spring rolls on, and we'll get to talk to some of the players and coaches as things get going. But that starts Monday, February 20th, so it should be exciting. Then the spring game, April 1.
Thank you so much for watching. For more videos from the Wolverine, whether it be football, basketball, recruiting, live shows, and more, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel for the latest.